Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to give others another minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Good morning. I think we'll still see that attendee number climb, but we do have quite a bit to cover today, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Good morning again, and welcome to today's webinar on What Do We Seek Next? My name is Julia Kim. I'm the Climate Change and Energy Program Director at LGC, and I've been part of the SEEC partnership for almost over 5 years now, and I'll be kicking things off before passing the torch over to Angie Hacker as the main facilitator for today's webinar. And this does mark the final webinar of our virtual SEEC forum, webinar number 19, and we do hope that you found this series as valuable and informative as I did. And as a reminder, this is your last chance to enter the SEEC forum raffle for a chance to win a $50 gift card to a local business of your choice. So you can enter the raffle by either joining our peer-to-peer network on LinkedIn or by filling out the post-webinar survey. And both links should be coming through the chat in just a moment by one of our staff. Perfect, thank you, Ryan. And I also do want to give a special shout out to Tia Tyler, Serena Soar, and Ryan Dana in particular for all of their hard work throughout the past 6 months to make this virtual series possible. Seeing a round of silent applause from our other panelists. And of course, to all of our other SEEC partners, our sponsors, our promotional partners, and all of you, our participants. And next slide. Perfect, thanks, Keelan. And as we explore what lies ahead following the sunsetting of this program, we are hoping to make this an interactive discussion. So during the listening session, we do encourage you to use the hand raising feature so that you can be unmuted to ask a question or to share a comment. You can also submit questions at any point throughout today's webinar by using the questions module in the webinar platform. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording and the presentation will be posted online at californiaseek.org, along with other presentation materials from this virtual series. So many of you may be familiar with the faces you see up on your screen, but just in case you're not, I'll provide a some brief introductions. So Angie Hacker is serving as the Statewide Energy Efficiency Best Practices Coordinator, or BPC for short, and she will be facilitating today's discussion. We'll then hear from Nicole Enright, Associate Program Manager at Institute for Local Government on the Beacon Program, and Kaylin Hart, ICLEI USA SEEC Program Officer on ClearPath. I'll be back on with Jenny Berg, who is the Association of Bay Area Governments Energy Programs Manager, as well as the manager of the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, to share about a new program that we'll be launching in 2021. And finally, we'll hear from our IOU partners, Michelle Van Tien from PG&E and Alma Briseño from SoCalGas. Yeah, we have a lot to cover, so with that, I'll pass it over to you, Angie.
Okay, thanks, Julia. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's SEEC Forum webinar. This forum is really an opportunity for local governments and some of the key agencies that serve them to discuss what do we seek next. Go ahead and switch slides, please. So my name is Angie Hacker. Like Julia said, I'm the Statewide Energy Efficiency Best Practices Coordinator and the moderator of today's event. As we get going, I just want to ask you, please, as an attendee, to go ahead and introduce yourself in the question box that Julia just showed you. So if you just provide your name, organization, and location, we'll get to know who's here a little bit. You can go ahead and switch to the next slide. So the purpose of today's webinar is really to celebrate SEEC successes and to think into a promising new chapter of California local government energy efficiency collaboration. So we'll spend a little time looking back, wrapping up, and most of our time today is going to be spent hearing updates from the SEEC NGOs, listening to your perspectives on the needs of 2021 and beyond during a very interesting facilitated listening session where we're going to do some live polling and some discussions, and then we'll wrap up with some IOU remarks and some next steps. We'll go ahead and switch slides, please. So I first want to give a big thanks to those of you who are attending today, who have joined us throughout the 6 months that we have been doing this, the 2020 SEEC Forum, the 11th annual SEEC Forum. This was obviously a unique year, a little bit dizzying to look back and think through everything we've all been through in the last 6 months. But we've certainly missed the real benefits of having an in-person meeting like we have done in the past. But in positive news, we have likely reached more people than ever through a virtual format. And so here's a little wrap up. In total, we've had about almost 1,800 attendees, live attendees at 19 sessions featuring 21 speakers from local governments, along with other speakers as well, and 29 best practices featured on topics related to promising solutions for a clean energy future. And on the right, you just see an illustrated word cloud made up of the titles of all of those sessions, and you can see we've had a really good discussion over the last 6 months. Go ahead and switch slides, please. So in fact, there are a lot of recordings of all of these sessions, which we welcome you to go and re-review, but we also built a tool so you can easily find a best practice or case study that was featured in the forum. It's a brand new tool we're calling Best Practices Database, and it's on the eecoordinator.info website. And as you can see on the right, it just allows you to search best practices and case studies by region, or you can filter by topic. And this is just a beta version of this tool. We're going to continue to populate it with other best practices beyond forum recordings, but we're getting started with the forum recordings. So you can go back and just pick and choose what you want to look closer at. Next slide, please. So in wrapping up this forum, I just want to echo what Julia had said. Thank you to all the organizations, the PG&E, Edison, SEEC, SoCalGas, and all the other organizations who've helped to sponsor and promote this event for us. I also want to, again, like Julia said, thank the amazing folks on the working behind the scenes at LGC who did a great job migrating to a new format, and they just know how to run a tight ship, and has certainly provided me with some support on my sessions. So thank you so much. And next slide, please. So we're not just wrapping up the forum, we're also sort of wrapping up SEEC as we know it. As we announced earlier this year, the SEEC program as we have known it in the last 11 years is sunsetting. So we want to take a quick look back and celebrate the partnership and successes before we go ahead and look ahead to the next chapter. And so I think everybody here knows the Statewide Energy Efficiency Collaborative has been a really unique alliance between 3 statewide nonprofit organizations in the California's 4 investor-owned utilities. And really its goal was to meet evolving local government needs to save energy, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and accelerate climate action. And we just really also want to take a moment to thank, maybe first and foremost, California utility customers, who are the ones who have actually funded SEEC over these 11 years per CPUC decisions back in 2009. And of course, thank the SEEC administrators for all of their collaboration. So SoCalGas, SCG&E, PG&E, and SCE, along with all implementing partners at ICLEI, Institute for Local Government, and Local Government Commission for 11 years of a successful collaboration. And these partners have done some great things together, including conducting 11 SEEC forums, 660 greenhouse gas inventories, 156 Beacon Awards, and we currently have about 2,200 subscribers that are getting their weekly updates on all things clean energy related, along with a lot of other outcomes. And in fact, we did a survey earlier this year of local governments to learn about their experiences with SEEC. And we learned that respondents overwhelmingly agree that SEEC has helped them connect with other practitioners, obtain relevant assistance, and increase knowledge relevant to advancing local energy and climate efforts. And we can switch slides, please. So they also had a lot of really wonderful feedback to share with us, as you can see on the screen. I'm not going to read them all, but they talked about the annual forum being a key opportunity to network, or the ClearPath calculator, enabling organizations to conduct inventories that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have been able to do, or the Beacon Award as a pivotal moment that helped their city council understand the importance and value of climate action. And respondents also did want us to do a little bit to clarify what services would sunset, what things will look like in the future. So that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to shift gears, look forward to 2021 and beyond. How can we best continue the momentum that we've generated in these 11 years to help local governments pursue their energy and climate goals next? So we're fortunate to hear from each of the NGO partners of SEEC who remain committed to working with local governments. And first, I'd like to welcome Nicole Enright from the Institute for Local Government, a SEEC implementing partner, and she's going to give us some insights into how they're transitioning into the next phase.
Great, thanks Angie. Thanks all for joining us today. So again, I'm Nicole Enright. I'm from the Institute for Local Government. We're a nonprofit that is dedicated to helping local government leaders navigate complexity, increase capacity, and build trust in their communities across our pillar areas of leadership and governance, public engagement, sustainable and resilient communities, and civics and workforce education. So next slide. Over the past 11 years, we have been pleased to offer Beacon as one of our core offerings to support cities and counties in taking meaningful strides on climate and energy. And this has really tied in with our goals as an organization to provide resources to help local agencies implement policies on the ground. And because we serve so many local governments across the state, as you can see here, we're the nonprofit affiliate of SEEC, the State Association of Counties, the League of California Cities, and the Special Districts Association. We've had this awesome opportunity to be able to help share best practices and lessons learned across the state and to help us all move forward together on climate and energy programs and goals. So as I mentioned, in the past 11 years, the Beacon program has served cities and counties. So as we look to 2021, we are excited about some new opportunities to bring special districts into the program and continue to offer a framework for the over 2,500 local agencies in the state to work to move the needle on climate and energy. Next slide. So our Beacon team is shown here. We'll continue to provide support to your local agencies in the next year and beyond. So you can see, you might have seen our executive director, Eric Emanuel, on our virtual Beacon Award ceremony this year, as well as our core Beacon team members, Carly Brown and Kim Danko and myself. So we'll be here in the next year to serve your communities. Please be in touch at any time. If you have suggestions on the future of the Beacon program or if there's additional services that we can provide. Next slide. And you can press the button. Yeah, there we go. So in 2021, there's plenty to look forward to. We will continue our award recognition program. Currently, we offer awards for greenhouse gas reductions at both the community and agency level, as well as energy and natural gas savings and sustainability best practices. All of those are for the Spotlight Award. And then we have the Vanguard Award, which really recognizes those exceptional efforts across all of those categories. But we also look forward to revising award categories in the next year as the nature of the field has evolved. We want to make sure that we are incorporating resilience, adaptation, collaboration across agencies, and also focusing on public engagement and equity, since especially public engagement is one of our core pillars. We really want to focus on that. So in addition to providing those revised award categories, the award ceremony is something we'll certainly look forward to next year, whether we can do that virtually or in person. We'll see how that goes. But we also want to provide support services. So continuing to build off of our core pillars. We'll be there to support your agencies in applying for award recognition, also identifying sustainability best practices, and helping to make those peer learning connections. We do have the sustainability best practices framework, which we will work on updating and hopefully have something available by the end of 2021 to really reflect the amazing work that local agencies have done in the past 11 years and to ensure that kind of diffusion of innovation continues to remain possible. So next slide. So as I mentioned, these are some of the new award categories we're thinking about for the next year. We may shift the energy savings to actuals instead of, the projected savings. But we really want to hear from you. What would be valuable to your agency? We know that, getting these highlights in front of City Council or the Board of Supervisors is a big deal, and we want to continue to celebrate and also to provide that framework. To move the needle on climate and energy. So if you have additional ideas on award categories, please drop them in the chat or be in touch, and we will talk a little bit about Beacon during the facilitated listening session. But in summation, Beacon will be around in the next year with some minor tweaks. And you can go to the next slide. We invite you to stay in touch with us across all of our programming. You can find out about Beacon at our website. And we also highlight local agencies that have earned recognition through Beacon on our various social media channels as well. So happy to take questions in the questions box, and we'll talk with you during the listening session. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Yes, you'll definitely hear from her in a moment. And next up, we have Kaylin Hart from ICLEI, who's going to share a little bit about their sunsetting updates.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So again, I am Kaylin Hart, a program officer with ICLEI USA, and we're a nonprofit organization that aids local governments throughout the entire U.S. with greenhouse gas inventorying and climate action planning. And many of you are mainly familiar with our ClearPath tool. So today I'm just going to kind of go into what ClearPath and your ICLEI subscription kind of will look like in 2021. But kind of first off, I just wanted to, as I mentioned, we are we have members all throughout the country, but specifically looking at California, over the entirety of the SEEC program, we have 344 California local governments that have been utilizing the ClearPath tool, with 896 community scale greenhouse gas inventories conducted and 447 local government operations or municipal greenhouse gas inventories that have been conducted. So tremendous work in California on accounting for greenhouse gas emissions and reducing those emissions as well. So kind of looking into 2021 and where ClearPath sits as the SEEC program is sunsetting, I wanted to kind of clarify the access that communities will have. So if you are a SEEC member, so you have access to the SEEC ClearPath version on January 1st of 2021. All of those ClearPath accounts will be switched over to read-only access. So in read-only access, you will still be able to look at the inventories that have been conducted in ClearPath, and you'll be able to download data and any of the charts that have already been created in ClearPath, but you will not be able to conduct any new inventories or edit any of the inventories that are already in the ClearPath tool. Now that is a bit different than if you are a ClearPath Pro user. So if you are a ClearPath Pro user, that means that you are an ICLEI member, meaning you have paid ICLEI membership dues to ICLEI in order to access the ClearPath Pro version. And for any communities that have paid that membership and keep that membership intact, your access will remain the same for 2021 and on, and just keeping to renew that ICLEI membership. But for those communities that are not ICLEI members, and again, you'll know if you're an ICLEI member if you have paid dues to ICLEI. So for those communities that have not paid those dues, the way to kind of continue using the ClearPath tool is through ICLEI membership. And with ICLEI membership, you will get access to the ClearPath Pro version, as well as our ICLEI community platform. And there's other membership benefits, such as participating in facilitated cohort trainings that will take you through greenhouse gas inventorying, climate action planning, if you're interested in biodiversity or consumption-based inventories, any type of facilitated training like that, you will be able to participate in, as well as a lot of international collaboration with ICLEI's other offices in other countries and those cities. And just a little bit about the ICLEI community. The ICLEI community is our platform for ICLEI members, ICLEI member cities or counties or other regional entities. And in the ICLEI community, you'll be able to join different neighborhoods, and these are different groups of people that want to discuss a certain topic. So as you can see on the screen, biodiversity, funding, or adaptation and resilience, different topics like this. And you can join these groups and discuss with other ICLEI members about how they are addressing these issues. The ICLEI community also has, as you can see at the top, that replicate tab where you'll be able to go and see different ICLEI members and their climate action plans, and what their measures are, how much those what the cost of implementing those measures were. So you'll be able to see that in that replicate tab, as well as the Get Training tab. The Get Training tab has different modules for training on how to use the ClearPath tool. So you'll be able to go into that training. Many of the resources on the SEEC LMS will be transferred to this ICLEI community. So all of those resources will also be right here in the ICLEI community. So the basic kind of ways to get your ICLEI membership, I have attached on the top of the slide here an ICLEI membership California brochure. So I'm assuming these slides will be sent out to all of you, and you'll be able to access that ICLEI membership brochure and kind of take a look at all the benefits. But there's two pathways for ICLEI membership, and that is if you are a city or county becoming an ICLEI member, and that is based off of population. Your dues is based off of population. Or if you want to go a regional route and have a association of governments or some other regional entity kind of get that ICLEI membership on behalf of the rest of the communities in their area, that is another option. And that is based off of the operating budget of that regional entity. So those are kind of the two options that we have for communities to continue using ClearPath. And if you are interested in continuing to use ClearPath, you can contact Cale Roberts. His email at the bottom. He handles all of our membership with ICLEI communities. So please contact him for continuing ClearPath access and continuing on with any international collaboration on climate action planning. And that is my contact information if anyone has any other questions.
All right, thank you so much, Kaylin. And last but not least, we've got Julia Kim and Jenny Berg, who are going to talk about some great updates from the local government commission's perspective.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Angie. Hi again, everyone. For those of you who are not familiar with Local Government Commission, or LGC, we're a statewide nonprofit focused on helping communities become more livable. We operate in 4 main program areas: climate and energy, water, community design, and national service. Many of you may be familiar with our Civic Spark Fellowship program. And overall, we work to advance policies, connect leaders, and provide technical assistance to support local implementation. So as part of the SEEC program, we have been organizing the annual Statewide Energy Efficiency Forum, or the SEEC Forum, and tracking and reporting best practices through the BPC position for 11 years now. And we're excited to share that we'll be continuing this important work through our partnership with California's regional energy networks, the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, or BayREN, the Tri-County Regional Energy Network, or 3C-REN, and the Southern California Regional Energy Network, or SoCal-REN. In addition to continuing the annual forum and maintaining the BPC position, we'll be focusing on providing additional education and capacity building support, developing resources to support local government energy efficiency efforts, and harnessing our programs to engage communities that are designated as disadvantaged or low income by the state, and those that just don't have the staff capacity to move their energy initiatives forward. We're excited to be, we really truly are excited to be continuing programs that hundreds of local government staff and energy practitioners throughout California have benefited from over the past decade, while launching some of these new initiatives to better support local governments in achieving their ambitious climate and energy goals. I did want to keep this somewhat brief. There's definitely more to share on this front, and you'll definitely hear more as we get closer to the new year. But this, of course, wouldn't be possible without our partnership with the RENs. So I did want to invite you, Jenny, to share a few remarks with the group.
Thank you, Julia. And my name is Jenny Berg. I'm the program administrator for BayREN, and I'm speaking on behalf of all three of the RENs. And we are thrilled to be able to provide support so that the valuable services that have been provided can continue. As a regional government, I would like to thank the IOUs for their previous support. I know that the SEEC Forum in particular has been a huge value to the local governments in my territory. We, as RENs, local governments are obviously in our DNA, and it's part of our charge from the Public Utilities Commission. So we see this effort is really a natural extension of what we are already doing to help support the local governments in our three territories. We look forward to hearing from local governments about how we can provide support. This is a particularly difficult time for everybody, but local governments in particular, with budget impacts from COVID, shifting priorities from our elected officials. So we're really thrilled to be able to continue to provide this value to local governments as they seek to meet state goals around climate. And we are hoping to get different sources of funding so that the offerings can be more holistic. The RENs are funded with energy efficiency dollars, and there are, of course, limitations with what we can offer. So one of our priorities is going to be to look for outside funding so that we can provide a more holistic program offering. So with that, I will turn it back to Julia.
Awesome, thanks, Jenny. Yeah, and just to echo what you noted, there's so much great work that's been happening over the past 10 years, and we want to honor that. And just as you noted, Jenny, local jurisdictions throughout the state are dealing with a whole new set of challenges. So we're always looking to evolve so that we can meet those needs. And yeah, definitely look forward to hearing what all of you have to share as we get into the listening session, and stay tuned. Definitely more to come about this new program. And back over to you, Angie.
All right. Well, thanks again, all. Thanks, Jenny and Julia. Right here, if we can go ahead and advance that next slide. All right, so basically we want to hear from you next. We got to hear some exciting and good news, promising news about the future. And the transition can really provide us an opportunity to meet needs in some new ways. So we want to hear from you a little bit more about what you need in 2021 and beyond. And so we're going to do some guided live polling. Thank you to Nicole Enright and ILG for supporting us in letting us use their meeting SIFT feature. So she's going to share with you how to use that. And then we're also going to this is going to be interactive, so we are going to allow for some opportunity for discussion as well, and some hand raising and things like that when we prompt you for discussion. And then these are a few questions that are part of a larger survey that we're going to release and share with you by the end of this this session. So take it away, Nicole.
Great. Okay. While we get going on my end, we invite you to join us on Meeting Sift. This is one of our favorite tools at ILG. So we have live polling. So let me go ahead and share my screen over here. So we'll ask you to either minimize your GoToWebinar or open up a new browser window on your smartphone. So you'll go to the web address sift.ly, no www or anything like that. Just go ahead and type that in. And then once you're there, we'll have you type in the participant code C33B. So we'll give everyone just a minute to get there while I get my screen going. All right, looks like we have about 13 devices connected, so it looks like it's working. We'll give it just a second. But again, go to sift.ly, either on your computer or on your smartphone browser, and we'll get started with the first question. Okay, so here is our first question. And this is a ranking from 1 to 5. So please share with us how important each of the following are to your agency's energy and climate goals in the next 5 to 10 years. So for this question, you'll have multiple topics to rank. So move the slider on your phone or your your browser from 1 to 5. 5 being the most important, 1 the least important for each of these. So we'll give you a moment to answer that. You can see the results are live populating. Looks like you got it. And if you have any trouble, you can type in the chat box. But I'm seeing so far that, yeah, protecting community from climate impacts is high. Generally, a lot of these are pretty high, with maybe energy independence being the lowest priority of these very important topics. We've also got environmental impact and greenhouse gas reduction as one of the top. And Angie, I invite you to chime in on any of your reactions to these poll questions.
Yeah, long list here, and I imagine these are all priorities in some respect for each of you. So as you continue to plug away at these, why don't we just read them out loud? Environmental impact, community economic impact, energy savings in municipal facilities, energy independence, energy equity, energy resilience of critical facilities, and protecting the community from climate impacts. So I'm starting to see the biggest ones popping in on protecting the community from climate impacts and community economic impact, which some people would look at and say those might be in conflict with each other, but those of us that know that you could actually achieve both of those goals at once in some creative ways.
Great. Well, let's. It looks like we have everyone participating in that question. So let's move on to the next one. So in the next question, we're going to ask you about your agency's in-house climate and energy expertise. So we wanted to provide a few definitions here before we dove into that. But basically, we're looking for, each of these might not exactly match, but kind of the closest to what your agency experience is, either none, basic in-house capacity, moderate in-house capacity, or robust. And robust might be, if you have a sustainability division with dedicated budget, where none might be, there's no dedicated staffing. So let's go ahead and go on to the question where we will ask, what is your agency's in-house energy and climate capacity? So far, great. Okay, thank you. So we've got about a third saying robust, third basic, 43% in that moderate category, increasing to about 50%. Go ahead.
Nobody's saying none, that's good.
Yeah. Glad to see that capacity. I think that's one of the things that has really grown over the life of the SEEC program. Excellent. Okay.
Some folks are trying to give us a few extra thoughts in the question box also, which is great. So feel free if you have additional thoughts on any of these questions to plug them into the question box. I'll read some out loud that I think are interesting. Actually, after the next question, we have a discussion point.
Yeah, thanks, Angie. Okay, so our next one, we've got another kind of sliding scale rating. So can you please share with us how much these barriers inhibit your community from advancing energy and climate goals? So the options are lack of staff time, lack of funding, lack of training or expertise, lack of community interest, or maybe there's lack of agreement among political leadership. So please tell us, you'll click through each of these, ranking from 1 to 5, 5 being, this is a big barrier. So I'll give you just a minute, but it looks like staff time is one of the most common barriers, whereas lack of community interest is low. Seems like we have some pretty engaged and, aware community members. That's good.
While we're getting the latest responses, this is an area we actually want to stop and do a little discussion. So you can either add some additional comments or raise your hand. And we're just looking for an example. If anybody wants to share an example of what this kind of barrier is looking like on the ground for you. So it looks like, yeah, lack of staff time. Pulling ahead here. All right.
Okay, we want to move on to the next question, Angie?
I think so. Did I see any raised hands? Doesn't look like
I don't see any raised hands.
Okay. Yeah, and interesting to think about, the relation between the last question, what is your in-house capacity, related to this question, where we're seeing lack of staff time is consistently, one of those barriers, despite maybe having moderate or robust in-house capacity. There is just so much to do, I think.
We did hear from Annie Seacrest, who says lack of staff time for us means not enough staff despite having moderate staff involvement. And we also heard this will be different for rural and urban areas. That's from Marianne Bithell.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So we'd like to hear from you. What are the top 5 areas your agency needs external assistance on? So this could be external assistance from a best practice coordinator, external agency, peer learning services. So you'll see on your screen, there is a drop-down box for each of those kind of top 5. So if you could select your top 5 areas your agency would need assistance on from that drop-down list, and then go ahead and click submit, then we will get a sense of, what are some of the ways that we can direct our programming in the next several years to best serve your agency and help you to further your climate and energy goals. Great.
This is getting interesting.
Yeah. So we're seeing financing and grants programs are at the top. Building decarbonization and clean mobility also high up there. Things are a little cut off on the screen, apologies, but can see that building codes and standards are high up there. So it looks like, some support around funding, financing, around buildings. Decarbonization just got to the top there. Also clean mobility and energy savings for public agencies. It's a little crowded on there, sorry, but there's a lot of topics to choose from. Angie, any big takeaways you're seeing here?
I'm just curious for folks that have clicked on financing. I'm interested in what they mean by that. If they want to throw a comment in the question box, is that more funding that we're looking for funding, or are we looking for loan kind of programs? Yeah, curious a little bit more detail on that if anybody wants to share.
All right, well, let's, while we have some more chat and questions coming in, let's move on to the next question. There we go. Okay, so in our next question, we're going to ask about LGC services. So current and new local government commission services are listed here on your screen with the new ones at the bottom. So in the next question, we'll ask you to select the top 3 that you would find valuable in 2021 and beyond. So I'll give you a moment just to take a look at the full list, and then we will go into the question there. Again, with the top ones being existing, in the bottom you'll see them listed as new. They are slightly abbreviated on the next question, so we wanted to give you the kind of the full list here. And let me scroll down in case you're on the computer and it doesn't show up. And here are the new.
Now, what's really great is this is, all these are a real possibility since the RENs were lovely enough to continue along these services. So if you find one of these on your list, one thing I'd like to hear, if you want to raise your hand or put a comment in the question box, if any of these is your number 1.
Yeah, please do. Okay, so I'll go ahead and ask you to pick your top 3. So there's 3 drop-down boxes. Go ahead and scroll through each of those. Pick your top 3. And we'll wait for those results to come in. Or if there's something listed here, or there's something that is not listed here that you would find valuable, that that you've worked with LGC on, or you've seen those services offered, feel free to type that into the questions box, because we don't really have an other option on this question. Okay, so it looks like the SEEC forum is pulling into the lead. We've got local government roundtables or calls, online database of California funding opportunities. That really aligns with our last question where we're seeing grant programs and financing as one of the top needs. Best practices assistance, for sure. Looks like webinars are heading up to the top, and weekly e-newsletter. Excellent. And if you have any other thoughts, feel free to type them into the questions box. We're seeing that folks, there's a comment in the question box that says, I love the SEEC forum, hearing about what my peers are doing and how I can apply it within my local government. For sure.
Thank you. Yeah, any other comments on other services from LGC, or which ones of these are seeming really, really valuable for you? But I think it's getting clear here. And what we have meant by best practice assistance in the past has been sort of technical assistance, really more of a gopher role. How we can help track down case studies, best practices, and experts and information for you to help you pursue your energy and climate goals.
All right, well, great. Let's move on to the next one. So here we have an open-ended question. So we talked a little bit about the Beacon program earlier. This is the program that ILG administers through SEEC over the past 11 years, and we'll be continuing to offer award recognition to communities in the next year. So we'd love to hear from you. If your agency participates in the Beacon program, what has been the most valuable part of the program to you? Or even if you don't, if you don't work for a city, county, or special district, but you've heard about the Beacon program, what do you think is a valuable part of having an awards recognition program? So we see here recognition that they can show their board of supervisors. That's a really common one that we've heard from participants. Being able to show that not only have you reduced greenhouse gases, but having a plaque that recognizes that as one of the the agencies across the state that's been doing that. Again, we see recognition here. And if you have thoughts on maybe what we could add to the program, you can type that in here. It's open-ended, and you can add as many responses as you like. So we'll see recognition continues to be, and though this participant doesn't participate in the program directly, they've heard from partners that recognition to show, yes, elected officials that this is valuable work. Absolutely. Okay, so if I do a fancy word cloud here, pretty sure I know which one will be the most common word, but it looks like recognition for sure. We love to recognize your hard work and just to make those linkages between local elected officials and the staff that are doing that hard work every day. I'm also seeing best practices show up. So thank you. Okay, so let's go on to the next one here. Oh, data collection. I saw that pop up too. Absolutely. Okay, so we're wondering a little bit about ClearPath and how you will conduct greenhouse gas inventories and do climate action planning in the next few years. So we've got, we'd love to hear, are you going to pay ICLEI membership directly to access ClearPath, work with a regional agency on another proprietary system? Maybe you will use an existing proprietary greenhouse gas system, inventory system, sorry, or develop a new one? Or are you going to work with a regional agency on ClearPath? So it looks like we've got about 40% that are saying they're going to access ClearPath through the ICLEI membership. Some are going to work with the regional agency on another proprietary system or work regionally. So I like seeing that regional collaboration and partnership will continue. Or if you have another way that's not listed here, please feel free to type it in. We know that many agencies work with consultants. So maybe that's, how you've been doing your inventory in the past. All right, Angie, any key takeaways, or you want to move on to the next question?
Yeah, we saw the working with a regional agency kind of pull ahead here. So it's just, it's just interesting to hear the responses.
Great.
Continue to provide any comments in the question box. I'm not seeing anybody with raised hands yet, and maybe Kaylin can be monitoring too. Let me know if there's somebody who needs to speak.
Okay. All right, well, let's go on to, I think this is our final question. This is open-ended too. So what are other services that key NGOs can provide to help local governments advance climate and energy goals? This could be anything. We went through several questions where we had you pick your top 3. Are there some that you couldn't make into that top 3 or that top 5 you want to add here? Are there things that we didn't talk about already, or you just really want to hit home on, those top 3 things you really need help on? So seeing grant writing support as one of those key services, opportunities for networking and collaboration for local governments, for sure. We think, that's one of the key ways we can, share best practices and lessons learned too. Elected official education and engagement. Yeah, that's great. Collaboration between state and local. Yeah, how else can we help local governments advance climate and energy goals? Feel free to type in more than one response.
There were a couple of other comments that came through in past questions that sort of relate, and one is, as our marketing budget is very limited, networking opportunities to get the word out about our financing programs are invaluable. So sort of helping to share each other's programs.
Great. Okay, we've got technical expertise. So can you bring me consultants or program that I can funnel projects through? That's great. Opportunities to talk with other local governments. Again, that peer-to-peer learning, peer-to-peer support, webinars offering education. Awesome. Okay.
Does anybody want to raise their hand or put a comment in the question box, getting a little more specific about what that kind of collaboration would actually look like? I'd be interested in hearing some ideas for how that would be implemented, meaningfully for you. And if you don't know, that's okay too. A lot of good folks working on trying to do that well for us.
Great, and we're seeing internships through local colleges and universities, vetted case studies for advanced energy projects, so hearing how others are doing it and what those best practices or lessons learned could be, regional alignment and policy advancement. Love to hear more about that. How can we help with that? And what types of internships are you looking for? Around data collection or policy analysis.
So actually, we're about out of time for this particular piece of things, but you can continue to provide comments also in the question box as well, or even through SIFT as we move into the next section. Is there anything else, Nicole?
No, that was it. That was our last question. Thank you so much for participating. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that Kaylin can resume her slides. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much for participating in all of that. And with that, I actually want to hand it over to a couple of representatives from a couple of the IOUs that are SEEC partners. And Kaylin, if you can go ahead and share your screen again. We will be introducing Alma Briceño from SoCal Gas and Michelle de Tijen. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. Van Tijen from Pacific Gas and Electric, and they want to share a few remarks for us. Thanks, you guys.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me? Thumbs up. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Michelle Van Tijen, and I am the manager of our local government partnership programs and residential energy efficiency programs at PG&E. And just want to say thank you for having me here today. I'm new to this role and new to meeting most of you, but I'm here representing PG&E and humbled to be able to speak to all of you today. We'd like to thank all of the NGOs for their excellent work over the past 11 years. We're really proud of the work these partnerships have accomplished and the passion with which those programs promote sustainability and energy efficiency in our communities, something that we, I think, all share. And PG&E would also like to thank ICLEI for their extensive work and partnership. And there are just 4 highlights I want to call out. 1, the management and development of the ClearPath tool. 2, completing government greenhouse gas inventories for cities who needed support and ensuring local governments' climate action plans were accurate and updated. And then in 2019 alone, they developed 418 community greenhouse gas inventories, with 250 of them being local government operations focused. Really amazing work. And in 2020, the ICLEI team provided office hours and training to ensure all local governments were ClearPath knowledgeable. So, PG&E extends our gratitude to Kaylin Hart and Angie Fife of ICLEI for your wonderful collaboration. Thank you all. And with that, I think, pass it off to Alma.
Hey, yes, thank you, Michelle. It's great to be here. My name is Alma Briceño, and I'm a senior program manager for SoCal Gas, who's had the pleasure of working with the SEEC partnership for over the last 8 years. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the partners, LGC, ILG, ICLEI, and the Best Practice Coordinator for successfully managing 18 webinar forum series and 2 Best Practice Spotlight series, which is certainly a lot easier said than done. And to add to that, this year, we had COVID, which has presented many obstacles and many challenges. However, this team put together a very creative forum, and they did an amazing job. So, kudos to you guys. It's been great. I've participated in just about every forum, and it's been awesome. And just moving forward, on behalf of the IOUs who are also partners in the collaborative with SEEC, That would be Edison, PG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric, and SoCal Gas. We want to express our deep gratitude for the SEEC partners over the last decade of just collaborative work, supporting local governments through resources, technical support, coaching, education, peer-to-peer networking. That's super important. The Civic Spark Fellowship, I know that has been extremely helpful to a lot of local governments who have always expressed the need for additional staff to help, with all of these goals that they have. We also want to make sure and assure the local government that although the IOUs will no longer be funding the SEEC program, we will continue providing access to resources such as our energy efficiency programs, our IOU financing programs, income qualified programs, and community data for greenhouse gas inventorying and more. We're very pleased, extremely happy to hear that the regional energy networks, the RENs, have joined forces together and have stepped in to fund some of these SEEC activities, such as the SEEC Forum, which is very important, as well as the best practice coordinator. We really appreciate all those communications that are sent out. They're really key resources for local governments to stay connected with the latest news on energy efficiency. And just to wrap up, and in the spirit of everyone loving recognition, as the poll showed, if you could cue that picture of the awards. Thank you. Thank you. So we also got a little creative here at SoCal Gas, and we would have loved to have presented these awards in person, but we will make sure that we get them to each of our partners in the SEEC partnership. So on behalf of SoCal Gas, we would love to present these Energy Efficiency All-Star Awards to LGC, ICLEI, ILG, and our EE Best Practice Coordinator in recognition of outstanding support for the energy efficiency programs and helping the local governments to save energy, money, and certainly the environment. So thank you. Big applause to all of you. Great job. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Michelle and Alma. That was very sweet. And just, I'll speak on behalf of the 3 NGOs. I'm sure they appreciate the recognition. Everyone looks forward to continuing to work together. I know that this has been a very promising event, so thank you so much for your participation. We know that going into 2021, things are looking good. This isn't a goodbye, it's a see you later. And the slides from today will be distributed and have been recorded, so it can be shared more broadly. You can always come back and review. As we mentioned, there is going to be a survey, a broader survey, what do we seek next? So we're launching that now. We're going to be sending it out after this event as well. We welcome you to complete the entire survey so we can know how to best serve you in the future. And we also, I wanted to share on the right here is something brand new, also a new database. It's you can access and register for the new California Local Energy Technical Assistance Directory. This is brand new, hot off the press, another beta version tool, but basically you can search by location or filter by topic of expertise to find technical assistance that already exists in California to support local governments on a variety of topics that may be of interest to you to help you pursue your energy and climate goals. So this is something we're going to continue to build onto as well. If you are somebody who provides TA assistance, we'd love for you to register. We already mentioned the best practices database, so we'll send out all these links afterwards. And if you ever have a technical assistance request, you can also submit a request on the EE coordinator website as well if you need some specific help identifying information. And then from that, we'll really just stay tuned for additional information from all the organizations you heard from today who will have more information about how we will continue to collaborate in the future on energy efficiency and continue to support local government goals. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Julia just to wrap us up.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Angie. Yeah, just as others have echoed, while the SEEC program as we know it is changing and sunsetting, we are not going anywhere. All the organizations, all the faces you see in front of you, we are deeply committed to supporting local governments in advancing their all of your climate energy initiatives. So just to wrap things up, just want to thank all of our sponsors again, our promotional partners, all of our SEEK partners that you see in front of you, and those who are working behind the scenes, and all of you for participating in this webinar and then also over the past 11 years. As a final reminder, don't forget to join our peer-to-peer network on LinkedIn in order to enter our raffle. And then lastly, this webinar is being recorded, so the recording and the presentation will be posted online on the SEEK website, and that's where you'll see all of the resources from the entire forum. That will be on californiaseek.org, the 2020 forum page, and then under the tab resources. And it looks like Serena already shared some of those links in the chat. And with that, thanks again. We'll see you in the new year. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.